Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And before we get started with the week four picks, let's recap a little bit of what happened on week three. But before we even get to do any of that stuff, hit that like and subscribe button for me. I would love to hear from you guys, whether it's bad or good, or leave some commentary letting me know how I'm doing out here with my picks and see if you guys agree with any of the stuff that I've been doing these past few weeks. Anyway, before we get to week four, I just want to quickly go over some recaps of week three because it's going to affect, the upcoming games. We saw a shocking comeback between the Renegades and Birmingham Stallions, and we also saw what I thought was funny business with Vegas and the UFL. I mean, who can explain that last field goal by the DC defenders when they had the game already sealed and all they had to do was kneel down and end the game? Instead, they opted for the field goal. And for anyone that took the over, you won. If you took the under, you were pretty pissed off the way that outcome was. But anyway, let's just get started real quick. Anyway, we spoke about the first game and the shocking comeback between Arlington and the Stallions. It was crazy, right? All through the game, Stallions couldn't move the ball. They had no running game. Renegades were pretty much solid on defense all night long. They even, what I thought, sealed the victory with a last second, pretty much in the last seconds, an interception was overruled because of a false start by the Stallions offensive tackle, which allowed the Stallions to redo the down, get the first down, and then they continue their way onto winning this football game with a last second touchdown from Matt Corral, who throughout the game was playing a little bit inconsistent, was playing poorly, but then we saw the true Matt Corral come out in the last seconds of this game to pull victory out of defeat. As for the Renegades, you still got consistent play from Luis Perez. Maybe another touchdown would have been better from them. But Luis Perez played okay. All right. He was consistent. He's the Spring King. Still needs help from the running game. It wasn't as bad as it was week two, but Kalen Balaj needs to be the point of attack for this football team. He's a tough runner, a good running back who pretty much needs to get the ball more for this offense to really, really get going. But overall, he was playing against a good defense in the Stallions. This was pretty much the way I expected it to go. Unfortunately, the Stallions did not cover the spread. I did take them in the money line, but when it came to the over and under, I believe this game was sufficiently under. Right? It was one of those games where either team, a mistake was going to be the difference in the game, and unfortunately for the Renegades, that mistake happened with the false start by the Stallions, which overruled the interception by the Renegades. And Stallions finally went up tempo. Skip Holtz figured it out. They finally went down the field to get the winning touchdown. And that's the way the game was. One other note with that game that kind of bothered a lot of sports bettors out there. Deion Kane is a guy who was leading the league, I believe, up to that point with all-purpose yardage. Did not play due to his wife's pregnancy. I believe that's the case. Why he didn't play in that game. That was a key ingredient to the offense. Maybe that's another reason why they struggled. Skip Holtz just couldn't get the right play calling against a stout Renegades defense. But the Stallions did show up with their defense, made it a tough game for the Renegades. But another note that I took here was there was no run game. There really was no run game. There was turnovers, two turnovers in the first half. You do remember tight end Jay Sternberger catching a pass from Matt Corral. He was about to walk in. The ball got punched out, no touchdown. Those two turnovers in the first half played a big difference in the way the Renegades were playing defensively and allowed the Renegades to stay in the game to the last seconds. Unfortunately, the offsides by the Stallions overruled the interception by the Renegades, who were trying to close out the game. And we all saw what happened. Matt Corral finally played a lot better in that last few seconds to pull victory out of defeat. Let's move on to the next game where we saw the Houston Roughnecks finally get their first win of the season despite Cecil Johnson's inability to get the best out of his players. Um, Listen, Cecil Johnson, I believe, is in over his head as a head coach. But again, I'm just trying to be fair. He is a fantastic assistant coach, which, if we all remember, fantastic receivers coach throughout his career in college as well as in the NFL. Very good with doing that. Maybe he needs to take a step down and get back to being an assistant coach. I don't think head coaching is what he can do best, but he did manage to pull out victory, coached a little bit better, did get some good play from his quarterbacks this weekend. Okay. The defense, phenomenal. Leon O'Neal Jr., key interception. In fact, the defense had two key interceptions in that third quarter, which turned the tide for victory. But Leon O'Neal played a monster game. 9 tackles, I believe he had. And at running back, Zaquandre White came out of left field and had a fantastic game. Maybe it reminds me a little bit of Anthony McFarland, and I think the Houston Roughnecks should really center around this running back right now, and hopefully they get that offense going. Still, the quarterback play again, Nolan Henderson or Anthony Brown Jr. Take your pick. They're still having trouble at that position trying to get going, but it was a little bit better. That's why they were able to pull out the upset over a team, which is Ken Wisenhunt, a better coach than Cecil Johnson. I thought the Showboats were really going to win this game. It was the upset of the weekend that they lost. And, there was a couple of bright spots. Kwame Lassiter played a very good game. And Jonathan Adams, the other receiver, continues to get the defenses to roll with him in coverage. They're both adequate receivers. EJ Perry, just two bad intos in that third quarter, really turned the tide in this game for Houston. And Deneric Prince, he just needs to get more carries because in that third quarter, that was the time to do it. And unfortunately, those two interceptions, and they were really bad interceptions, just maybe not reading the coverage or maybe the receiver quarterback communication wasn't there. And that was one of the reasons why this game turned the way it did. But again, Houston played well. It was a better coach team this past weekend, and they managed to get their first victory. Memphis still 0-3. And well, Roughnecks get their first victory, and maybe, just maybe, they could eke out some more wins during the season. Again, I'm not really impressed with Cecil Johnson's coaching. I feel his biggest strengths are at receivers coach or as an assistant. Memphis, disappointing because they do have a good defense, and unfortunately, their offense is just not helping them out. Don't know what the problem is because they're talented at receivers. EJ Perry is a much better quarterback than what he showed in that third quarter. But let's move on from this game. Let's go to, let me see my notes here. San Antonio and Michigan. What an entertaining game. Very good game. San Antonio did not have Wade Phillips as the coach. They were coached by Pardee. I believe that's his name, KD Pardee. Did a fantastic job because he managed to help the offense where they were struggling. And the key guy in that offense was Anthony McFarland. I said in my previous video, if they want to do very well on offense, they need to make McFarland the focus of the offense, which they did. And if you saw the game, Pardee actually spoke about that. And it worked out for most of the game. He was really a threat running the ball as well as catching it. And also, Kellen Mond, listen, we're still getting inconsistent play. It's troubling to see that because he's a talented quarterback, but he did play a little bit better. The play calling was a little bit better. He was using his athletic ability to get around, but they still lost to a solid Michigan Panthers team led by Bryce Perkins, who made a couple of mistakes, and, especially the one in the fourth quarter was a bad mistake. Almost lost the game for the Panthers with that. Um, Bryce Perkins continues to carry this offense. Again, kind of his experience from the NFL to the UFL, you could see it. I didn't like that he tried to hurdle some defenders in that fourth quarter. I mean, I love the attitude, trying to win the game, but don't get yourself hurt, son. You're more important to the team than trying to kill yourself for that touchdown. But I get it. You're trying to win the game, and it was very impressive to see him try to do that. But it could have been a lot worse. And lucky for the Panthers, he managed to get that touchdown and pretty much the kickoff return at the end for the Panthers. When the game was tied, um, the kickoff return was key because my man ran it all the way down the right sideline and gave them good field position. Bryce Perkins almost fumbled away on a poor snap, and the Brahmas almost recovered, and that could have been a game changer right there. But again, Michigan pulls it out. Special teams played well throughout this game, and that's why they move on with a victory. And the San Antonio Brahmas are still 0-3. So unfortunately for San Antonio, better performance on offense, better play calling, but they, again, inconsistencies from Kellerman, and they just couldn't pull it out. Let's move on to the game that upset a lot of sports bettors out there, including me. Okay, this was a game that the DC Defenders found out right before the game that defensive coach Greg Williams, well, it wasn't before the game, it was during the week. Greg Williams, the great defensive-minded coach for the DC Defenders, was leaving to join Reggie Barlow at Tennessee State University. So these are two coaches that will leave their team within a week of a game. And let me tell you something, Shannon Harris is proving to be a very, very solid head coach. NFL, are you listening? Shannon Harris, very impressive in the first 3 weeks of the UFL under the circumstances of losing two quality coaches in Reggie Barlow and Greg Williams. And the performance he put out against the Battlehawks was monumental. What a victory. Defensively, the Battlehawks couldn't figure out the blitzing packages of the DC Defenders. What a great, great job by the DC. I believe it's Blake Williams, the defensive coordinator. Fantastic job with the play calling, reading the Battlehawks offense. What a study during the week of the DC to come up with a game plan that they did to stop a high-scoring offense of St. Louis. Other things that I looked at to know, as I was watching this game. Jordan Ta'amu. Okay, Jordan Ta'amu. Wow. You got a great defense. You do. You have a fantastic defense. And all you have to do is manage. You've been in this leagues long enough, from the AAF all the way to the UFL. You are a good quarterback. This is a message to Jordan Ta'amu. You are a good quarterback. You're very mobile. You seem to be getting away from how you played the past couple of seasons. You are a solid quarterback, and for some reason, you're pressing. You got solid wide receivers. Your running game still needs help. I believe Abram Smith still hasn't recovered from that torn, I believe it was an ACL, a bad injury he took for 2024. You are struggling at the position, and I got to give you advice. You got to stop forcing the ball into areas, and you got to read the coverage before you even attempt passes, because it seems to me like you're pulling the trigger without understanding the concept of how these safeties and corners are going to play you. They see the slants, they're cutting in front. They're seeing the outs, they're getting in front of it. Okay, so stop pressing, manage the game, and believe me, this team could go, surprisingly, I think this team could go undefeated. They have one more game against the Battlehawks, and it's going to be in D.C. Now, I picked the Battlehawks to be in the championship game, but it looks to me like D.C. could have a say in it, and they're playing like it. Before the season, I told you I liked the Battlehawks' chances, Birmingham, and I told you that third team was the D.C. Defenders. Well, what a fantastic defense. They do have a really top-notch defense in this league. Again, Jordan Ta'amu's got to get better. The running game's got to get better. Ty Scott played well. Mickens played well at the wide receiver position. A couple of key grabs by that tight end. They were able to get this victory. But we're going to get to the ending of this game. Let me say something about the St. Louis Battlehawks because Manny Wilkins, you're a mobile quarterback. You've been playing well all season, but you did play really poor this past Sunday. And I don't want to say you played too poorly because I believe you was under siege all game with that O-line that couldn't figure out the blitzing packages of the defenders. Offensive line, you guys let Manny Wilkins down. And unfortunately, he also was pressing like Jordan Tyamo, made some bad throws, bad interceptions. And it really turned the tide of this game as well. It got close towards that third and fourth quarter. I really felt what looked like an interception for a touchdown for the Battlehawks off of Jordan Tyamo's bad throw. Jordan Tyamo, you got lucky on that one because the guy dropped it. He was going to walk into the end zone. That could have made the difference in his game. But Manny Wilkins did his best, tried his best. He did step out of bounds on, I don't know if he really stepped out of bounds, but I'm gonna say that he did on what appeared to be a touchdown run by him. And he did step out of bounds according to the replay officiating, and they turned it back. But Jacob Saylors struggled at the running back position. The defense running defenders was shutting down the running game. He did have a key 34-yard reception. Rodrigo Blankenship continues to kick well for the Battlehawks. But again, defensively, there were some breakdowns in that secondary that allowed the DC defenders to make key plays to pull out victory from defeat. But there was no running game by the Battlehawks and some couple of bad interceptions by Manny Wilkins. But let's talk about that ending of the game, right, as I look at my notes, okay? So we're going to get to the Week 4 picks. Please, people, be patient because, again, everything that I put down on notes is to help you guys. I do my best to study these games. I do my best to give you an edge. And I always tell people out there, let me do the studying. I can trust my eyes. I can see what's going on. And look, it's very hard, an unpredictable league where there's roster changes, coaching changes, and the DC defenders prove that. However, great coaching by Shannon Harris. I got to tell you right now, Coach of the Year, Shannon Harris, right now at this point. So let me look at some other notes that I have from this game. Let me see if I covered all the notes, okay? Like I said, a bad interception by Wilkins in the fourth quarter with, I think there was 8:40 left in the game. There were 4 bad turnovers by the Battlehawks, okay? So that made a difference in this game between the defenders. I thought it was going to be a much better game from the Battlehawks. I expected them to win. They kind of let me down. Was it really an upset? Considering that the DC defenders don't have the offense that the Battlehawks have, yeah, I had the money line on the Battlehawks. I lost that. That should have been a victory for the Battlehawks again. Those 4 turnovers, the inconsistency of Jordan Tyamo. Anybody saw that wide open receiver in the corner of the end zone, and he just kind of overthrew the guy. I mean, that's the inconsistency I'm getting from Jordan Tyamo. If he could just clean it up, if he could just practice this week studying the defensive concepts, then the defenders could ride into that championship game and possibly win it all. They're 3-0. Shannon Harris, great coaching going on. Now, end of the game. And I got to tell you, sports bettors out there were pissed. Anyone that took the under, you were infuriated. You were flipping out, flipping tables. And I got to tell you, Vegas again. Vegas, the over and under was 39.5. And with 8 seconds left, all the defenders had to do was kneel down, game over, everyone into the locker room. I just didn't see the Battlehawks trying to get 2 scores to pull victory out of defeat. Instead, the strangest thing, and I'll make a point of this, the over and under was 39.5. They opted to kick a field goal. Maybe it was to get some practice out of their field goal kicker, right? I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But funny business went on. They made the they made the field goal. They covered the over of 39 and a half. Anyone that took the over, congratulations on that miracle. Thank you, Vegas, for messing with that over and under. And I got a theory on that, right? With all the money that rolled to the St. Louis Battlehawks before the game, everybody was picking money line, right? They're playing this game in St. Louis in front of their great fans. Yes, great fans who again continue to put 30 plus thousand people in the stands. And the announcement of them getting the championship game, fantastic job by the UFL and awarding those fans. They deserve it. DC Defenders also have great fans, and I think they would have been the second choice. But anyway, they get the championship game. But getting back to that ending, here's my theory. With all the money rolling in for the St. Louis Battlehawks before this game, I'm pretty much thinking that, okay, they took the spread. They had the plus was heavy on the DC Defenders. They figured that the Defenders were hanging there with their defense. So they got that right, right? And then with the money line, everyone took the Battlehawks, right? But the over and under, everyone was riding the over. So anyone that took the Battlehawks, okay, with the money line, the over and under, with the over of 39 and a half. But the plus 4.5, I believe it was 5.5 or 4.5 before the game, everyone rolled that money with the St. Louis Battlehawks, and I'll explain why the money was there. Battlehawks have a great offense. They really do. But they ran into a stout defense. Now, in my opinion, I had taken the over. I thought that defensively the Defenders would make this a close game. I didn't expect them to pull this game out. They did. They sealed the game, 8 seconds left, and I have a feeling that Vegas played a part in this, right? Funny business, because with all the money rolling to the St. Louis Battlehawks, Vegas doesn't want to lose millions of dollars. I'm not saying that there was a phone call made or anything like that. You know, I'm not into this fixing games bullshit, all right? But let's be honest, since football has a hand in sports betting now, there's funny business going on. I'll take you back to 2 years ago. Rams losing against the 49ers. Ended the game with 1 second left. No chance to win this game, even if you get a field goal or a touchdown. No chance to win the game. They opted to kick a field goal. They ruined every sports bettor out there. Okay, 49ers were favored. I believe the 49ers were favored to win by a certain amount. I totally forget. If I'm wrong, please leave comments and hit that like and subscribe button. I love to hear from you guys if I'm talking correctly about the subject. It was a game between the Rams and the 49ers. I believe that game was in LA. There was a last second field goal with 1 second left. Sean McVay managed to piss off sports bettors throughout the country by kicking a last second field goal. 49ers did not cover. I believe they were the favorite. They did not cover. And to this day, no one knows what the heck was that. He did manage to say at the end of the game, it was, when it comes to point margins and stuff like that for the division title, it might play into it. Dude, you had I believe that year you had a shit team. It's not, that was a year they were kind of rebuilding away a little bit. And they were like a year away from being a better team. And come on, that was a great answer, but you pissed off a lot of sports bettors. And the same thing happened in this game. 8 seconds left. They opted for a field goal. Bettors across America who probably were jumping up and down when the game ended. They probably had the Defenders as the upset. They probably had the spread, and they probably had the under, and they were jumping up and down and saw that shit evaporate with a last second field goal. Are you kidding me? They went to the over. Anyone that took the under got screwed, and the field goal went over, and a lot of sports bettors got screwed. So that's something to think about as the year goes further along. Again, I said from the very beginning, it's an unpredictable league, right? Unpredictable league. And unfortunately, we saw some shocking comebacks, unbelievable over and under decision because of a field goal. A lot of sports bettors lost money. And I tell you all the time, bet small to win big. If you had any single game parlays going and this was one of them, you lost big. And if you was betting big, I feel for you. You must have been pissed off with the way the defenders kicked that field goal, especially if you took the under. Anyway, let's get to week 4. Sorry for rambling on, but sometimes I have to recap the weekend's games. Okay, understand that because it's going to affect your week 4 picks, all right? It's to clear your head of what you saw so you make the right decisions and you can always rewind back and say, hey, what did Casino Pete say about the Stallions earlier? What did he say about the quarterbacks? What did he say about this team and that team? It's always good to recap first before getting the picks. I know you guys want to rush to the picks, but you guys have to understand also, I'm giving you an edge. I know what I'm seeing, okay? And I'm trying my best to give you guys this edge so you can make better picks, better choices, better parlays, better player props, and stuff like that. Last weekend, we did some player props. I don't know if I'm going to be doing that on the whiteboard, only because, we hit a few. We didn't do well. But when it came to touchdown passes from quarterbacks, I think we did well on that. But when it came to player props, had no idea that Deon Cain wasn't going to play. Neither did, I would say, 99% of the sports bettors out there didn't know that Deon Cain wasn't going to play with the Stallions due to a pregnancy by his wife. So, again, those things will happen. The unpredictability and the availability of players and coaches. And we saw the DC Defenders lose yet another great coach. But yet, Shannon Harris continues to be a great coach in himself and keep this team winning. So right now, he's my candidate for Coach of the Year, okay? And right now, they're not a surprise team because we saw what they can do the past few years, right? They got a great defense. They just need help on offense. They need a better running game. And they need Jordan Ta'amu, if I'm spelling that as well as mentioning his name correctly, needs to play a lot better at the position. He's still a little bit inconsistent for me. Anyway, this was my record at the end of week 3. This is how we did. As far as the money line, we were 2-2. We were on the over and unders. You're not going to believe this. We were 4-0 on the over and unders. So if you took my over and unders, you did well. And on the against the spread, we were 2-2. Again, the upset victory by DC, and then the Stallions game where they had a pull victory from defeat at the last seconds. So 2-2, impressive 4-0 on the over and unders. That was crazy. And we went 2-2, unfortunately, on the money lines. Okay, we ended up overall record right now 8-4 for the season with the money line. We're still breaking even with the over and unders, and the against the spread we're 4-4 for the season. We started the against the spread last weekend, so 4-4. We're still breaking even on those, and 8-4 on the over and unders. Okay, 8-4 on the over and unders for the season. 8-4 on the money line, and 4-4 on the spreads. So that's not too bad, but we like to get we would really prefer to be undefeated, right? Because that means we're making money, betting small, winning big. If you're betting big, hopefully you're winning big. But it was a crazy weekend. We managed to, with the over and unders, we managed to get a nice record out of it, right? What did we do? What was our record? We were 8 and 4 for the weekend. Again, I would love to go undefeated, but anyway, that was our record. I looked at my notes, and if you saw my previous video, you could check on that. I'm pretty much sure we were 8-4. Hopefully, you guys parlayed your own way. We don't, as sports bettors, we don't recommend parlays, but hopefully you parlayed your own way and did a better job than me, mixing and matching and maybe taking player props. Again, player props are unpredictable. When it comes to quarterbacks, they do rotational stuff at that position. Some players didn't even play because of, like Deion Kane, right? Took the game off, affected the offense. Again, be smart as a sports bettor and know what this isn't the NFL where you know every player and you know exactly what's going to happen. In the UFO, it's an unpredictable league, and this is what happens. Anyway, let's get to the week 4 picks. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the whiteboard. It's already been written down, so I don't waste your time. Although I did waste your time rambling, right? But guys, you have to understand, I'm trying to set you up for the week 4 picks. Let's get going. All right, let me just lean over and grab my whiteboard. It's already been done. I don't want to waste time. Can you guys see this? All right. We got the money line on the Panthers. We took the over and under. We took the under at 35.5. However, we're going to take the +7 in this game. Okay. We're going to take the +7. And when we go to the next team, it's the Battlehawks again for the money line. The over and under of 39.5. We took the over, and we're taking the -1 with the Battlehawks. Now to the third game, we got the Stallions. We took the under at 37 combined points, +7.5. We're going to go through these games in a few. We took San Antonio with the over at 38.5 and the +7.5. Okay, so I hope you guys got a good read on that. Those are my money line picks: Panthers, Battlehawks, Stallions, and the San Antonio Brahmas to win next weekend. As far as the over and unders, we would love to go 4-0 again. We took the unders 35.5, the over 39.5, the under 37, and the over 38.5. We're going to review these games, okay? And we saw 3 pluses for this weekend, right? +7, +7.5, +7.5, and we only have one -1, and that's for the Battlehawks game. What's interesting about the pluses, all right, let me put the whiteboard away. What's interesting about the pluses as we look at my notes and these upcoming games, right? So let's start off with the Memphis Showboats and Michigan Panthers. Okay, when you look at, I'm going to look at my whiteboard. In fact, I'll put my whiteboard here in case you guys want to see it again. But we took the Panthers because, again, the Showboats are struggling on offense. Okay, they seem to have a little problem at the quarterback position when it comes to who they feel is going to be the better player to play. So I took the Panthers. They're a better team defensively. They do struggle on offense, but I thought the -7 for the Panthers was a bit too high for this game. I feel like the Memphis Showboats defense is really solid. Really, they're okay. I don't want to say they're in the same conversation as the DC defenders, but they do play good defense. Memphis Showboats. Ken Whisenhunt's a good head coach. He just needs to run the ball more with Deneric Prince. That could be the difference. E.J. Perry's a good quarterback. Made some bad interceptions this past weekend. Again, the Panthers, Bryce Perkins, it's at Michigan. I thought the spread was too high, and that's why I chose the +7. I think this game combined is going to be under 35.5. I see maybe a 15-9 game, maybe 20 to maybe 13, right? 33 points around that area. But I really don't see a high-scoring game. I think Memphis is struggling on offense. I do see Michigan's going to struggle on offense too. We do see that the O-line's having trouble. But they did pick up an O-lineman to help them out. It's going to be interesting. I think the +7 sounds right. I think the under sounds right. And I think the winner of the game, the Panthers, sounds right. Let's move on to the next game between the, let's see, I believe it's the, Battlehawks at Renegades. What a quality game this is going to be. 2-2-1 teams going at it. I do agree with the money line, with the Battlehawks winning this game, only because they have a better offense. I do need to see a better performance. You could almost certainly pretty much money in the bank with that spread of -1. I think the Battlehawks should be able to win this game by 3. Nothing more. I'd be shocked if it goes over. Goes under the 39.5. These are two good defensive teams, but they will be giving up points this week. I think this is one of those games where it could end up 27-23 or 23 to 20. So I do see the over. It should be a close game with the Battlehawks pulling it out at the last second or something like that. They're going to rebound. They're going to win. For the Renegades, that loss this past weekend could affect their mojo, could affect the fact that the offense just couldn't get enough points to eke victory. This is the Kalen Ballage game. I believe this is a game where Kalen Ballage is going to have to be used more in the running game to keep this game close. The Renegades don't want this to get away from it, right? They don't want this game to get away from them. Luis Perez is probably going to have to play off the charts, maybe make some key throws with the receivers he's got. The Battlehawks, outstanding linebackers, a good front four where Freeney and Willie Harvey are really stout. I'm going with the money line. Sounds about right. The spread sounds about right with the minus, but I'm going to go with the over. I think the Renegades are going to do everything they can to hang in this game, but maybe a turnover here and there, and the Renegades lose. But this is a good game. Might be game of the week. 2-1 teams. They're both well coached. I just see the Battlehawks having a little bit more. They're coming off a game in which they kind of killed themselves with the 4 turnovers. I think they rebound, better running game. I think both these teams will be running it early, especially the Renegades. If they get time of possession, they could really turn the tide in this game. But I might see a couple of turnovers that might make the Battlehawks the team to win in this game. But I am going to take the over. It is a risk. Could I have taken the under? Maybe. But I think I'm going to go with the over on this one. Next game up, we have the Stallions, at the Roughnecks. Listen, guys, it all looks like the Stallions are going to win this game. It's going to be my money line, right? But the Roughnecks, they do play solid defense. I like what I'm seeing out of that defense. I love that Leon O'Neal Jr. Looks like he's heading to the NFL if he continues to play like this. I do see him in there. But the Stallions, they continue to struggle on offense. You got to get that running game going. You got to find a way to get that running game going to help out your quarterback and the wide receivers you got. Deion Kane's going to return back. Do I feel like this spread is kind of high to win by 8? No, I don't think so. But I did put a plus 7.5 because I feel like if the Houston Roughnecks use Anthony Brown Jr. and his mobility the correct way with play action, they could give a stout Stallions defense some trouble. And I'm going to take the under on this. I don't expect the Roughnecks to be putting up anything past 14 points. The Stallions are also struggling. Could be a 20-14 game. Could be a 23-14 game, right? It could be around just 37. It could just break even, right? And I just don't know if the over and under what Vegas is putting out there is a trap. Maybe stay away from it. Maybe just take the money line Stallions and the plus 7.5, or maybe stay away from the over and under as well as the point spread, right? We could do that and maybe parlay the Stallions with something, a single game parlay, or maybe the way you want to do your parlay for this weekend's games, right? So if I had to tell sports bettors out there, because it's an unpredictable league, we just don't know how Vegas is going to play this out. They're already messing with the point spreads, guys. Let's be honest. 7.5 with a struggling offense against a good defense like the Roughnecks. Really? 7.5? You expect the Stallions to win this game by 10 or by 8 or 10? Like I said, it could happen, right? Because the Roughnecks don't show me nothing on offense. And this could be a couple of turnovers here and there by the Stallions defense, and they end up winning this game that way, right? But again, the over and under is kind of shady for me. It's at 37. Don't see that many points in this game. Not from Houston, that's for sure. Then Skip Holtz has a way big advantage over Cecil Johnson. But again, Vegas is going to play this game, right? All the money's going to roll to the Stallions, guys. Just keep an eye on that. All the money is going to roll to the Stallions. And what do we do as sports bettors? We look at it and we say, well, the short thing is the Stallions to win. Maybe just stick with that and forget the over and under or the point spread altogether. But if you're a guy who's willing to risk big time money, or maybe entertain yourself and just play it out with an under 37 and a plus 7.5, good luck. But again, like all these games are going to play out with Vegas, depending on where all the money line's going to go. And I can tell you with the way I picked this money line, I'm pretty much going to tell you that this pretty much, it could be another 4-0 weekend for us. Could be another 4-0 weekend for us on the money line. It's just a matter of picking the right over and unders and a spread. The final game, obviously, is San Antonio against the DC Defenders. I made a mistake earlier when I posted up my. In fact, let me show it to you because I made a mistake. I'm going to make this a race. Let me get my erase. I know you guys looked at my whiteboard the first time and said, "Holy shit, he's picking the Brahmas in an upset." Let me tell you something. If it happens, this would be the game for it to happen, right? Because all the money line is going to go to the DC Defenders. We're all jumping on the bandwagon of Shannon Harris, Coach of the Year at the current moment. We're all jumping on the fact that this is a solid defense against San Antonio. Wade Phillips may be coming back next week, right? Depending on, what the emergency was. So it all looks like DC all the way, but we all know that Vegas is going to really mess with your mind. I'm looking at this. I feel like I shouldn't erase it. When I put the whiteboard up, we went with San Antonio to beat the DC Defenders at DC. All right, you guys must be saying, what are you, out of your fucking mind? But you know what? This could really happen because, again, an unpredictable league. What if the Defenders take this game too lightly, right? They're coming off a big high against the Battlehawks. They're all saying to themselves, we're the team to beat. Okay, we lost two big-time coaches to college football. Shannon Harris takes over. Blake Williams takes over as the DC, and we're still riding this high. We just beat what they thought was the best team in the league, the Battlehawks. No one's looking at us. Well, this is the game, in my opinion, where if DC's for real, they will win this game without a problem. Shit, you might even want to go with the minus 7.5. You might money line the Defenders. Go with the minus 7.5 and the over and under of over 38.5, right? You might say that and win this whole thing, right? This single game parlay for yourself. But I got news for you. This is a game that if I expect an upset, it's right there for San Antonio. But unfortunately, I made a mistake when I first put the whiteboard up. It should read like this. Okay. It should read like this. All right. Okay. I kind of screwed up the whiteboard and I'm going to write it down, guys. Understand that everyone is entitled to mistakes. I surely made one. I'll tell you what, if San Antonio pulls the upset, I'm going to kick myself in the ass because I just don't see San Antonio coming in and doing what they got to do. Let me put this whiteboard up again. Okay. There we go. All right. Again, look at the money line. It changed from my original whiteboard when I first put it up. I'm going to keep this up a little bit for you guys. All right. Keep an eye on this one right here. The Defenders. Keep an eye on this one. The Defenders, the Stallions, Battlehawks, Panthers, all for the money line. Okay. I fucked up earlier. I had the San Antonio Brahmas to pull the upset. Listen, you guys play it the way you want to play. Again, Vegas is going to play tricks on you, okay? Look at that whiteboard again for the second time. I know some of you guys like to fast forward some of the stuff. And maybe when I first posted up the whiteboard, you guys ran with it. And listen, if it works out for you with the upset, I do expect something like this, right? This would be the game where Vegas really messes with you guys, right? Funny business going on, especially what we saw in week 3, right? Especially the ending of that DC Defenders game. That was kind of crazy. But if I needed to get an upset, it would be that game, right? Everybody in Vegas is going to run to the sports book. They're going to look at their apps, and the first things they're going to say is, "Oh my God, this is easy. I'm a parlay. I'm taking the defenders. I'm taking the over 38 and a half. I think Jordan Tyamo is going to play better. I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will. He should. He's been in this league long enough, but don't sleep on the Brahmas. They they have a well-coached football team. Unfortunately, they're 0-3. They could have easily won that last game. Okay, we all saw that Kellen Mond is inconsistent still at that quarterback position, and he's troubling to see him struggle. Okay, Kirkland needs to do a better job as a wide receiver, getting more open. Maybe they need to put some plays in to get this guy going. McFarland is the center of attention for this DC Defenders team. McFarland should be the point for this Brahmas team. But that last game, people, I'm taking the Defenders. I'm a sucker for it. We know Vegas is going to mess with this. If you saw the whiteboard the first time, I had San Antonio. Maybe that was a sign to let you sports bettors out there know that always go with your first instinct. But I'm going with the Defenders. Shannon Harris, I mean, he's really, really phenomenal. I see this guy going into the NFL. I don't know if he came. I got to do a little bit more research. I don't know if he came from the NFL to the UFL, but somebody out there in the NFL better bring him back as an assistant coach or something, because he really knows how to coach. He's doing a great job right now. Despite all the stuff that's been going on with the coaches leaving, he manages to fire up this team and come out with a victorious big upset against the Battlehawks. Okay, so I'm taking the Defenders. I'm also taking the over. I think the running game's going to get going against the Brahmas. I think the Brahmas are vulnerable there at the linebacking position. They're not bad defensively, but they're not making the big plays either on defense. And that could be the difference why they're 0-3. You got to make some big plays, San Antonio. You have to make some big plays to help out your offense. Kellen Mond continues to struggle. But I do see them for some reason. The reason I took the over 38 and a half, I could easily have said, you know what, I'm going under, is because I think Anthony McFarland, if everything goes well with his offense, Anthony McFarland's going to give the Defenders a lot of trouble. I think he's going to get out there out of the backfield with a couple of passes. I think Lovett's another good running back. I think Kirkland's going to find himself wide open a lot with those play action passes from Kellen Mond. If Kellen Mond does a study this week, breaks down that Defenders defense, and maybe they roll him out more against this aggressive Defenders unit, maybe there's a chance there that the Brahmas could exploit that defense for what it is, a couple of holes there. The Defenders are solid all around on defense. They got two good corners out there. DeAndre Baker, obviously the ex-former number one pick of the Giants. He's continuing to play very well. A lot of teams are staying away from him. They're 3-0. They're going to be playing at home, the second best crowd in the UFL. So I'm looking for the Defenders to really straight through money line. Again, if you're not comfortable with my over of the 38 and a half, you don't have to take it. But that plus 7.5 is really up there. I took San Antonio with the underdog. With the plus 7.5, because I just feel that that's way too high for the Defenders to win this game by 8. They don't have that running game going. That's a concern. Jordan Tyamo is missing wide open receivers, whether he's overthrowing, underthrowing it. It's not a confidence builder for me to move on with that offense. That could be their downfall in the championship if they get there, or in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Defensively, they're solid, though. Defensively, they're solid. I just see them just winning the game on the money line. The plus 7.5, it's a risk, but I'm going to take San Antonio to cover that plus 7.5 as the underdog. The Defenders with the over and under 38.5, you could stay away from that, guys, but I'm just throwing out there the over and 38.5. It's going to get funny this weekend with Vegas with this game. So pay attention to the spread going up and down during the week. Pay attention to the over and unders. You sharp bettors and smart bettors out there that know what you're doing as professional gamblers, you guys know what to look for. You guys will figure it out. You guys will know how the money's gonna roll to one team and how Vegas plays this out. Remember, Vegas is not in the business to handing you money. Vegas is in the business to take your money. Okay, listen, they're not your friends, so they couldn't give a rat's ass how they fuck with the point spread, the over and unders, or whatever teams you're picking. As an amateur sports bettor, especially those out there, you got to understand how to read everything that you're going to bet on. All right, if you're planning to do a parlay, you can money line these games. I feel safe. I feel like going 4-0 again. We're 8-4 in the season with it. Okay, we just finished going 4-0. I see another 4-0 happening again. As far as the spreads, we're 4-4 for the season. I'm looking at these spreads and I'm like, this could be a rough weekend with the spreads as well as the over and unders. I think Vegas is figuring it out and they just want to mess with you. But me personally, when it comes to what I put up on that whiteboard, you just got to understand what you're looking at, match it up with what's going to happen during the week with the point spreads, over and unders, and the money lines, and then figure it out for yourself how you want to go about it, whether single units or you want to parlay, which is a no-no in the sporting world. But guess what? When I did the Michigan Panthers and the Brahmas, I went 3-0 with that parlay. Okay, so that was the one single game I went parlay. I lost the other three games on their parlays. Okay, but I did well with that one. You can look up the previous video and check it out for yourself. I went 3-0 with that, and maybe somebody out there took it and did well themselves. Bets more to win big. Again, I'm gonna tell you right now, when it comes to player props, unpredictability, we all saw that people took Deion Kane and then found out before the game started that he was not going to play due to an emergency in the family, a pregnancy, okay, with the wife. Um, if I had to look for touchdowns from quarterbacks, they're not going to pay much because they could be in the minus side. Some of them are on the plus side. So if I was looking at the plus, if I was looking at the plus side, you may want to go roll with some quarterbacks there. But let me tell you right off the bat. Let's go. Let's start with the first game. If I want, I'm not big on player props in this league because you can't go by passing yardage, you can't go by rushing yardage, or all-purpose yardage because they do a rotational way in the UFL. It's like a developmental league, but it's a great spring league. I'm really praying that this league continues to go. We need more attendance. St. Louis, continue doing what you're doing with your attendance. Same with DC and the Beer Snake. I love it. Keep doing what you're doing. I hope the Beer Snake fans are out there. Just keep doing it, doing it, doing it. I love it. I just love it. I love that you guys are into your teams. Memphis, I saw a little bit of a crowd there. It's not there yet, but I saw people come to the stadium. Let's keep that going. And Houston Roughnecks, let's get that going also, all right? So guys, let's get to these games because compare it to the NFL, they're a lot cheaper to get to. I mean, a lot cheaper to spend money at the games, right? It's family. They're making it family friendly. It still hurts the wallet in every sense of the way. Let's face it, right? I mean, we're all struggling in life. We're trying to make ends meet. But the UFL has done a great job to make it family friendly, and we need to take advantage of that as football fans. Unfortunately for me, I can't travel that far to watch a game. I live in the East Coast. I wish I had a New York, New Jersey franchise, which I think they're going to work on. I believe that in the near future, we're going to get that New York, New Jersey franchise, something. I just want to get to these games with my family. You guys are fortunate if you're in the area to watch your team play. St. Louis, DC, great job, guys. Great job. Houston and Memphis, you're getting there. You're getting there, and I hope the attendance continues. So let's keep it going, people. Let's get this league to survive. Let's keep it going. It's up to you guys if you want the Spring League to continue, all right? Believe it or not, you guys are making an impact in this league by attending the games. Now that I touched on that, let's touch on, the quarterbacks, some player props. I'm not big on it, like I said, but if you want touchdowns from quarterbacks, you got that first game, right? You got the showboats at Panthers. I do see Bryce Perkins throwing one, see EJ Perry throwing one. maybe Troy Williams could get in his game, do one of those rushing touchdowns. Same with Bryce Perkins, right? Um, I think all the quarterbacks going into this game are mobile, but I do see Perry and Bryce Perkins getting touchdowns in this game. So that could be something you're looking forward to putting as touchdown passes. As far as mobility, um, Bryce Perkins rushing in one, that can happen. You want to take a risk on that. Maybe parlay him just doing a touchdown and a rushing touchdown. Maybe that could work for you. I don't know. My thing is, I think that Perkins and EJ Perry will get at least one touchdown passing. Second game, that Battle Hawks and Renegades. Kalen Balaj rushing one in. Maybe that might work. Touchdown pass from Luis Perez. That can work. Battlehawks, you could do Jacob Sailors coming off a so-so game. Did well coming out of the backfield with catches and receptions. But, as far as rushing, he's coming off a bad game. Maybe he'll rebound and get that 3 touchdown game we saw a couple of weeks ago. But he would be good for a touchdown in his game. You could put him down for that. Manny Wilkins, definitely. Whether he gets it rushing or throwing one, definitely. As far as the wide receiving unit, I didn't see Hakeem Butler. That was disappointing in itself, not seeing him in the game. Maybe he comes back and we get a touchdown from him. So, as far as that game goes, maybe Luis Perez throws one. But Kalen Balaj, I think, will get one. Let's go to that next game. Stallions at Roughnecks. Not expecting much from the Roughnecks. If I had to put money on a touchdown maker, maybe Nolan Henderson throwing a touchdown. Maybe Saquandre White getting in on a touchdown. Maybe that could work. As far as the Stallions, Jay Sternberger, I'm going to roll with him again to get a touchdown because I believe he could rebound. He's feeling kind of shitty after making that fumble when he was about to enter the end zone. I do see Matt Corral probably getting one also, a touchdown in there. The return of Deion Kane is important. I believe if he comes back, he'll probably get in the end zone as well. So if you're getting into that touchdown making process where you got to pick like maybe 10 or 10 guys or more, I'm just giving you a heads up on some of these touchdown makers. I'm just not into all-purpose yardage or player props. I'm not high on yardage with quarterbacks or rushing or whatever. I know they throw it out there for entertainment. Just bet small to win big. You could do it for entertainment purposes. And the final game, obviously, is that San Antonio at DC. Anthony McFarland would be a great touchdown maker. Kellen Mond, maybe rushing. I don't know about the throwing touchdown. I did pick him last week to throw one. He did. For this week, going up against the DC defenders, I may stay away from that, but maybe his mobility will get him in the end zone. I do see either McFarland or Lovett getting a rushing touchdown. So maybe I would stick with that. And maybe the surprise touchdown maker might be tight end Elise Mack. If you take a look at this guy, he's built like a Mack truck. I think that's his nickname I'm going to give him, the Mack truck. Maybe it is his nickname. I don't know. But he's a huge guy. I don't know why they're not using him much, especially in the red zone. And I believe he might be a factor. If he does catch as a touchdown, then maybe the Kellen Mond thing is to put down for touchdown pass. But I just don't see it. As far as DC, Jordan Tyamo, he does he'll get a touchdown pass, but he's so inconsistent. He is mobile. Can he get one rushing? Yeah, he could do that. But I think in his game, he's going to get one throwing. I do see Ty Scott and Mickens being targets for him. So you could put those guys down for touchdown passes. I don't see much for that running game doing it. Abram Smith, that running game hasn't been there for them. But I think the play action has been. So if I was to do player props, that's where I would go. But I'm pretty much wrapping this up. I think we covered pretty much what we needed to do, looking at my notes and everything. Please leave your comments. If I made a mistake, if I talked in the wrong way about certain players, I do apologize for that, but I do talk about it in a way where I want you guys to realize that we're making these week 4 picks and we're basing it on performance. We're basing it on how coaches coach. We're basing it on what we're seeing out there, sports bettors. remember, you bet small to win big. Entertain yourself. Use a fun account. Don't use money that you need to pay bills or anything like that. You gamble cautiously. If you could believe that you could put that in the same sentence, right? Just don't gamble at all. That would be my advice. Don't gamble. Don't put yourself in a position to martingale. Don't put yourself in a position where you're chasing money you lost with money you need. Okay, don't bet like that. Be careful with your sports apps. Sometimes you gotta make sure that whatever you're parlaying gets through, and you get paid for what you parlay. Because if you're winning big, things could get funny with that, right? We all saw what DraftKings went through. Right now, the word on the street is that FanDuel is one of the best ones out there. So I don't want to talk negative on any other sports app, but it is what it is. And like I said, I would prefer you don't gamble. I would prefer that if you're a first time gambler and you go to the sports book to make these bets or anything you do at a casino, I would prefer you come out and lose first because that's the reality. That's what really happens. Casinos are not in the business to give you money. And if you cannot spot the sucker, you're the sucker. But anyway, for your true sports bettors out there, I gave you the edge, gave it to you for free. You don't have to pay me to give you your edge. All right. There are bookies out there that try to get paid or claim that they're the best at what they do. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, right? You gotta figure out who are the real guys and who aren't. I do have my favorites out there that I love to watch. Are they right all the time? Sometimes no. They end up martingaling people's money and they end up winning back their money. But again, you don't have to pay no one to make these picks. So do what comes to you naturally and figure it out. Read everything. Everything's in front of you from online, internet, sports apps, or just looking up information, whether there's injuries, whether playing a part in the game, who's going to be in, who's going to be out, who's the quarterback to trust, who's the running back to trust, what defense is playing out of their mind, what offense is playing well. So these are the things you have to look at, folks. These are the things you have to look at before placing bets. Bet small like I do and, win a couple of dollars where you can enjoy the games, entertain yourself, hit a brewski here and there, sit back, enjoy your frosty brew beverage of your choice or whatever it is you do. Just entertain yourself, But again, when you're looking at these games, Vegas is involved, there's funny business going on. So anyway, in conclusion, I would just like to say thank you for watching my channel. Thank you for tuning in. Please hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, we win again this weekend. Hopefully, also you pick and choose where you want to go with my picks. Hopefully, I was spot on. Hopefully, I'm helping you guys win money. Again, I would love to hear from you guys because it's very important for me to get feedback. I really want to see how I'm doing out there. And I really appreciate everything you guys are doing. So anyway, hopefully this weekend's games are as entertaining as it's been all season. Some shocking victories as well as defeats, as some upsets already have happened. So the league is really going on pace to what is expected, the unpredictability. But we're starting to see some players starting to shine. We're starting to see some that, well, it's the reason why they're in the UFL, right? Trying to get back into the NFL. But anyway, I'm loving what I'm watching, and I hope that this league continues to do and progress. And fans, just keep doing what you're doing. Keep supporting this league. Much appreciated. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Hit the like and subscribe button, and hopefully we see you next weekend. And hopefully I hear from you, and hopefully you guys are winning as well. So thank you for tuning in. Much appreciated. We'll see you next weekend.